Hey guys, Geoffrey here. In this video, I want to talk to you about a topic called identity shifting. And this is a crucial topic if you're trying to reconcile. And unfortunately, this is a topic that nobody talks about. I've never found a video on this topic. So be sure to stick around to the very end of this video for everything you need on this topic, because this is not something you want to miss. And in case you're new to the channel, my name is Geoffrey and I help men in long-term relationships or in marriages with the right skills and knowledge to be able to design a thriving relationship. And this is especially true if you are currently on the brink of a divorce or brink of a separation and you're needing to make the changes fast. And so if you want more content on this topic, be sure to subscribe to this channel and also click the bell button as well to be notified when I post new videos every single week. And before I begin this video too, I also want to let you know that the masterclass on the 5 proven steps to rebuilding your relationship from the ground up is still open. So if you want to join me in the masterclass, or if you want to submit your application for the Relationships Revival program, then be sure to stick around to the very end of this video for an announcement on how you can join both those things. So the first thing we need to understand identity shifting is understanding the spectrum of being, doing, and having. And the main question goes, are you doing to have, or are you doing because you are? And the basic premise here is that if you're doing because you want to have, that's going to be a much weaker version of doing than if you're trying to do because you are. So the example I often give my clients here is, imagine you're standing in front of 2 smokers, and both these smokers are trying to quit smoking. Now, you approach the first smoker and you ask, hey, do you want a cigarette? And he says, oh, no, I'm trying to quit smoking. And the second person says, oh, no, I'm not a smoker. So one person is doing to have, which is to quit smoking, and the other is doing because they are. They are not a smoker. One has shifted their identity, the other has not. Who do you think will stop smoking? If you really think about it, the second person. So if you relate this back to the concept of reconciliation here, you can start to see your journey in several steps. So you have, of course, your macro having, which is reconciliation. That's what you want. That's what you ultimately want. But to get that macro having, you need to have the micro having, which is all the internal shifts, for example, the frameworks, the bulletproof vest, the untethering, self-esteem, etc. And behind this micro having, you have the doing, which is your daily practice process of how you grow your bulletproof vest, how you untether, how you build your self-esteem, how you master the frameworks. So if you look at this flow again, the question is really, are you doing? Are you doing the daily things? Are you doing the things to master your bulletproof vest, to master your frameworks because you want to become bulletproof and because you want to reconcile? Or do you do it because you are? And I want you to remember this quote as you continue this video, is that if you want to change, if you want to do the changing because you want to have, which is reconciliation, then ironically, you will never reconcile. But if you do the changes, because it's just part of who you are, without any expectation of reconciliation or having, then that's when, ironically, reconciliation happens. So I know this sounds like a very, very crazy quote, and it's really difficult for people to understand at first. So let's break this down in this video here. So first, to understand this, we need to understand what we call the paradox of change. And the way to understand paradox of change is, let's do a thought experiment together. If I ask you right now, if you ask anyone in this world, everyone wants a different life. Everyone wants to have a better sex, to have a better future, to have a happier life, to be richer, to be more successful. I mean, you want a different life than what you will have today. But what most people don't connect is that to have that different life, you actually need to become someone different. But if you notice, as soon as you try to become someone different, people start to resist you. People start to question you. I remember when I was trying to start this business. I was a data scientist before, and I wanted to start this business in relationships. And instantly, people doubted me. Are you sure you want to do this? This doesn't sound like you. This is not you. Same thing for my relationship. When I started to change the way I talk, the way I think, the way I approach the relationship, my partner said, don't sound like a therapist. You sound weird. Stop doing that. That's not you. That's not who you are. So basically here, you know you need to change. But as soon as you try to change, people, the external world, doubts you. And a lot of you may be facing this right now where as you try to change, your partner is resisting that, is questioning that, is very suspicious of that, is very doubtful of it. And it's making it very, very hard for you to change, to keep changing. And this is what we call the external paradox of change. Now, when you have this external paradox of change, that quickly becomes the internal paradox of change, when all this external doubt starts to make you doubt yourself. Ooh, maybe they're right. Maybe I'm not this person. Maybe I can't change. Maybe I don't want to change. I don't know anymore. You start questioning yourself. So again, external becomes internal. So what we need to understand here is that this identity shifting that you do is crucial to fight the external patterns of change, first and foremost. And the external patterns of change, there's two categories of this. The first category is the natural external patterns of change, and the second category is what we call the self-imposed external patterns of change. So let's look at the natural external first. So if you're in a position where you're in the brink of a divorce, a separation, and you've really broken down the trust in the relationship and the safety in the relationship, we have to understand why the external patterns of change will show up naturally. So your partner's in a position now where she's been feeling unhappy in the relationship for a very long time. And for a very long time, she's placed her trust in you. Maybe because you tell her promises that you'll do better, you'll change. Maybe you tell her that you'll do anything to make the relationship better, to improve the relationship. But every single time your partner trusts you, she gets burned over and over and over again. She gets more and more disappointed. So she needs to now make sure that whenever you say you're going to change, whenever you make promises that things are going to be better, she needs to make sure that that's real this time. It's not just something you're saying. It's not just something you picked off the internet. It's not something that's going to happen temporarily. She wants to know that it's real, that it's genuine, that it's permanent, that it's something you will do because you've become it. Now, the unfortunate part is that in order for her to really know if your changes are real, are genuine, are permanent, are legitimate, they're based on your real identity, she needs to give you curveballs. She needs to give you resistance. Because deep down, we all know that it's easy for someone to fake who they are, to fake their changes under very easy circumstances. It's easy for someone to fake their changes in the short term, but it's really impossible for someone to fake their changes during moments when it's really hard, during moments when it's unexpected, and for a long period of time. And so what happens is when you destroy trust like this and you're trying to showcase your partner your changes, your partner's going to resist you. So what happens to a lot of people is that when they haven't shifted their identity and they're still doing to have, not doing because they are. So people initially have a very high motivation to make the changes. But when they start to make the changes, they realize that this actually creates resistance, doubt, suspicions in their partner. Their partner doubles down on their anger. Their partner doubles down on the way they stonewall. Their partner doubles down in telling you that there's no hope, that you shouldn't try. And so what happens here is that immediately you sense yourself moving away from the having. But because you're doing because you want to have, and you sense that the having is going away, you start to get very demotivated. You start to get very depressed. This external patterns of change becomes internal patterns of change, where you question yourself now, should I be doing this? And so during these moments, this is when you'll want to either quit your progress of changing. You will tell yourself, what's the point of changing? What's the point of doing the work, the hard work of actually changing myself if I can't reconcile anyway? Or this is when you slow down your changes. Or this is also when you start to revert back to your old self and you start to panic, you start to get angry, and you start to go like, why are you so mean to me? Here's all I am doing is trying, but all you're doing is just questioning everything I'm doing. Well, if that's how you respond, that will tell your partner everything she needs to know. You're changing because you want to have, not because you are. And if you're changing because you want to have, once that motivators, the external motivators of changing goes away, either because there's no hope or either because you reconciled, your partner will know that you'll probably go back to your old self again. Because this is the pattern over and over again, is that you'll promise the world, but your intentions for changing isn't really rooted in something deep. So when that motivators go away, you stop. And a classic example of this is when someone says to me, for example, or their partner, hey, partner, I'll do anything to change. I'll do anything. I'll run over mountains for you to change and better myself. I promise you everything's going to be better. And their partner says, you know what? I don't want you to try anymore. We'll never reconcile. And instantly at that moment, you just stop everything. Stop all your changes. Now put yourself in your partner's shoes there. What would that tell your partner? Does that show your partner that your changes are real, permanent, that they're genuine, that they're here to last? So the problem here again is that people often think that the reconciliation process is a very linear process, that it gets better and better as you change. But it's actually not the case. You will face what we call the dip, the patterns of change, where your partner's going to test you, where you will feel like you are going to go further away from the having. And when you feel like the having is going further away, if you're doing to have, then your motivation will crumble. And again, this will happen very, very subconsciously without you knowing it sometimes, which is why identity shifting is crucial. Because the only way you can fight through this is if you learn to do because you are. Because if you do because you are, even if the having is going further away, it doesn't really matter to you. And this is really the secret behind every success story that you can see in this world, even in business. The reason why so many business owners who are really successful can become so successful is because even though they feel like the having is going further away, even though they feel like the having is a bit hopeless, it's a bit distant, it's a bit far away, they learn to do because they are. So their motivation, their mood doesn't fluctuate with whether the having is coming closer or going. Their motivation is rooted on the fact that they are. They do because they are. And this habit of doing because you want to have is really why the most people in this world cannot really stick to something for very long. This is why, for example, people yo-yo diet, because they do because they want to have. They diet, they exercise because they want to have. And once they have, or they feel like they cannot have, they stop it because they don't actually enjoy the process. They don't actually do because they are. So the only way to break through the paradox of change here is if you make that identity shift. If you learn to do because you are, not because you want to have. I hope that makes it clear here. And this is also why if you look at a lot of my client stories, you will see that what they do before they reconcile and what they do after they reconcile never really changes. You will hear them saying things like, and after I've reconciled or not, no matter how good things are, I'm still going to chop wood and carry water. I'm still going to do the exact same things day in, day out because they have learned to do because they are. Now, the other side to this external paradox of change here is that sometimes it's not that your partner needs to believe for herself that your changes are real, but sometimes it's that what you do and how you do it can make her increase her suspicions of you. So you know that feeling you get when someone's doing something nice to you, for example. Someone's saying all the right things, but you know that deep down they're saying all those things to just try to get what they want. Now instantly when this happens, your level of suspicion goes up. You start to maybe test that person more. You start to question that person more, doubt that person more. So you will start to feel the paradox of change for that person. And your partner's feeling the same thing here. If you're doing something, if you're saying something because you want to have, that is very fishy. And no matter how well you think you're hiding it, your partner can smell that from a mile away. And this can happen in two ways. Either one is that you will say things in a very fake way. And again, this fakeness comes out in your micro expressions, your microtones that you can't really avoid, no matter how much willpower you place into it. The second way this comes out is that sometimes you're going to say something, you're going to make a promise, and that promise isn't what will make your partner trust you. Your partner will then watch you for a long time afterwards to see, do you actually really mean what you say? And if you're doing something because you want to have, you'll often say things out of desperation, some things you don't mean, some things you don't even understand, you don't believe in, and you will say it, but you cannot deliver on it. And if you cannot deliver on something, that's a really, really bad thing that will destroy trust even more. So again, just to recap, identity shifting is really the only way you can fight the external paradox of change, both natural and also self-imposed. So for example here, let's say that your partner is testing you. She takes away all the hope of ever reconciling. She tells you that she'll never come back. She tells you that there's nothing you can do to change her mind. She gets angry at you. She stonewalls you. But yet, throughout all these tests, you still remain steadfast to changing yourself, to growing yourself. Your motivation is not touched at all. You still operate like your new self, and you still say to her, no matter what you choose to do, I'm still going to do this. And not only do you do this once, you do this for 3 months, 6 months, a year. What will that tell your partner? Now, for most of my clients, their partner will eventually say, I cannot possibly think of any other reason why they're faking their changes. How they could be faking their changes for this long, despite the fact that there's no hope of having here. So the only option that I can see is that this person is really doing because they are. They're changing because they are. Maybe this is their new self. And that is the moment when your partner will change their mind. And if you look at any of my client stories, it follows the same pattern over and over and over again. So I hope you understand the importance of identity shifting and breaking through this paradox of change, guys. So the next question becomes, how do we shift our identity here? Now, in this video, we're not going to go too deep into this because this is taught in about 26 hours of content in our program right now. So I can't possibly teach you everything here. But there's 5 general steps that you need to follow here. The first is that recognize that our brain is right now is evolutionary wired to do because we want to have. So if I ask you, for example, How was your day? How you answer that will depend on how good the outcome was. Are you closer to having what you want, or are you further away from having what you want? If you're further away from having what you want, you will say it's a bad day. If you're closer to having what you want, you will say it's a good day. Your mood, your motivation depends on that. And so whatever we do in life is always dependent on having. We will only do to have. And this is the evolutionary mechanism that was very useful to us in the hunting and gathering days, which, if you look at humans' history, we've been hunting and gathering for much longer than we are now, which is when we need to actually farm, right? If you're hunting and gathering, you need to do because you want to have, and you need to have that very short-term hunting mentality because you need to hunt for your food. But if you look at the world today, it doesn't actually do us any good to be hunters, to do because we want to have. So for example, if you want to build a business, you need to do very consistently for a long period of time, despite not having. If you want to lose weight, often you need to do for a long time, despite not feeling like you're getting closer to having. So this doing to have mindset no longer serves us in this real world, in this modern world now. We must learn to do because we are. And that's how people get successful. So a couple of ideas I can give you right now that I teach my clients as well is stop celebrating outcome wins, but celebrate process wins. So for example, take a golfer. Every golfer has a process. Every day he does his routine, his drills to become better at his sport. Now, sometimes he wins, sometimes he loses. Most people would celebrate the wins and sulk when they lose. But people who are process oriented, they will say, doesn't matter if I win or lose, did I do my daily processes, daily practices that day? If I did it well, I'll celebrate that. So it's rewiring your brain to get dopamine hits from the process wins instead of outcome wins. Hope that makes sense to you. The second thing is what we call expanding your band of operation. So the big problem with a lot of people is that they lock themselves into a small bubble that is their identity. They often run around life and they go, this is me, this is not me. I like this, I don't like that. This is who I am, this is who I'm not. And so the more you do this, the more you lock yourself into a certain identity. And so when you are about to change, when you need to change to become a different person, often that requires you to go against who you've identified yourself to be. But the problem is that when you need to change outside of that, that's when you get a lot of things like imposter syndrome. You start to feel a lot of weirdness, a lot of fakeness, a lot of like, this is not me, I'm not being myself right now. So imagine here, you're this identity and you're trying to move here. And whenever you move here though, you get external patterns of change. People doubt you, people become suspicious of you, etc. If you have locked yourself into this identity, the old one for so long, and you try to move here, and you get this external resistance, the external resistance will quickly become internal resistance, where you start to doubt yourself, imposter syndrome, start to feel fake, etc. And that's a big problem. And that's what's going to pull you back down to the old self, and that's what ultimately will make you fail in changing. That's why a lot of people remain stuck in their own cycles because they can never get out of that. And a great example of this is when I was starting this business, for example. When I was starting this business, I wasn't very creative. I was not a people person. I was much an introvert. And so I was here. But in order for me to be successful in the business, I need to become here and become very extroverted, basically become someone who I'm not. And so because I was so stuck in this old identity of defining who I am, when people started to doubt me and I tried to move this, that feeling of discomfort grows even higher. And so I kept pulling myself back to my old self. And I was wondering why I could not really break through in my life. And I couldn't really do the things I needed to do to get success. It's because of this. It's because I've locked myself in for so long. And so what I tell my clients to do is to question the concept of self. That there's not really an identity that you have to follow, that you can become whoever you want, really. I teach them to unjam their mind and really accept the pros and cons of things, that nothing is good or bad. It's just a set of pros and cons. And really learn to like things that you have never liked before. Really learn to accept things and see things and explore things you would never explored before. Imagine you're playing like an RPG game. In this RPG game, you have to explore the map. And as you explore the map, you unlock more parts of the map. Like the more the map becomes more lit up, right? For most people, what they do is they stay within their village and they never really explore the map. They don't really know what's around them. What I'm asking you to do is just explore other ideas. Don't judge ideas. Don't think of something as good or bad. Don't think of something as me versus not me. Just explore it. And so you're exploring the map, you're expanding the map, you're unlocking more areas, and that's all you're doing here. And once you unlock more areas, you want to go to the third stage, which is when you want to pick a direction. So this is when you define very clearly who you want to become. What does that person look like, talk like? Who is that person, the becoming self, as we call it? And get very, very clear on it. But note here that you cannot define who you want to become unless you've explored the area before. Most people don't even know what they want to become because they've never explored. They've never expanded their band of operation before. So once you expanded your band of operation, you pick a direction and you define who you want to become. And once you define who you want to become, you want to define the process that you need to do every single day to get there, the right process to get there. That's the fourth stage. And the fifth stage is that once you define the right process to get there, you are going to start to expect that the paradox of change will come. Anytime you want to do something big in your life, anytime you want to change, anytime you want to become different, you're going to face the paradox of change. But here's something to remember. People who are failures, they let other people define who they are. So in that example of, I was here, I want to become here, I want to get here, other people start to doubt you and question you and be suspicious of you, and you go back to your old self again, right? You let other people define who you should be, who you are. While successful people, they define who they want to become first, they become that, and they let other people catch up to it eventually. Even though it might take them a long time to do it, they let other people catch up to them eventually. So for me, my business, for example, when I was first trying to become a coach, I made my shift and I got a lot of resistance from everyone, but I was very clear on who I wanted to become, who I needed to become. And despite all that resistance, I was still becoming. I was still strong here. And eventually, 3-4 years later, this is how people know me now. People don't question it anymore. People know me as who I am today. So again, I don't let people define who I am. I define myself, and I let other people catch up. Same thing in relationships. When I was trying to change, I became this, I became more seductive, I became more understanding, I became better, I talked differently, I walked differently, I dressed differently, etc. I looked different. A lot of resistance in the beginning. But 4 years later, now we're 7 years in, all that resistance goes away. Now people know me as that new self. Because I defined myself first, I was steadfast into defining myself, what I want to become, and I let other people catch up. I don't let other people define who I should be, who I am. If you can follow those 5 steps, that's the steps to really doing because you are. That's really the steps to identity shifting. And once you can identity shift, that's when you can really break through the paths of change. That's when you can really start to begin to change your partner's mind. So I hope that connection makes sense to you guys. This is a very, very important topic, guys, so I hope that was helpful for you. In the meantime, if you want to learn deeper about this and the different stages of processes that you need to master, you can join me in my masterclass on the 5 proven steps to rebuilding your relationship from the ground up. In that masterclass, I'll show you the exact steps I teach all my clients to get them from a very dire situation, a very dire state, to where they are today in a thriving state as well. And a big part of this is also identity shifting. So if you want to join the masterclass, or if you want to submit your application for the Relationships Revival program, then click the link above my head, also down below this video as well. But for now, I'll leave you with these 2 other videos with more skills and knowledge for you to design a thriving relationship on your own. For now, guys, I'll see you in the next video.